I want to tell you about a man named Dr. Gabor Maté. He's a renowned expert on trauma and addiction, and he's had that title basically for about 20 years, but he's been a doctor for 40 years. He's from Hungary, and he immigrated with his mother, took him to Canada when he was 13 years old. He's written about 8 books. I haven't read any of his books actually, but I've listened to hours of his lectures and interviews, and I've taken a course from him where you're just listening to him talk about different things. And he has a movie called The Wisdom of Trauma, which is like a documentary, and a lot of people talking about their experiences, their life experiences, their troubles, homelessness, mental illness, physical illness, addiction, stuff like this. And he's worked with a lot of this for 20 years. He received the highest honor you can receive as a citizen in Canada. I highly recommend you watching any of his videos and the movie Wisdom of Trauma, and I'm sure his books are fantastic, even though I haven't read them because I'm very familiar with a lot of his work. His message is to try to educate, the society, the world on trauma and what childhood trauma does to an individual. We have a habit of judging and criticizing a person's behavior when they, have problems. Maybe they're weak or, irresponsible or something like this, when they have different types of addictions, different types of behavior. So we medicate them, we criticize them, we judge them, and sometimes even punish them, instead of looking at what happened to this person. What happened to them that they had this behavior, right? He also talks a lot about that trauma, basically, all of us have some kind of trauma growing up, there's all different degrees, and that causes a lot of mental, physical illness, and that most diseases do not have a genetic disposition. And he's not the only person I've heard talk about this. They say less than 5% of the diseases are genetically predisposed. Most of it's from your lifestyle, and part of your lifestyle is how you think and your thoughts and your disconnection to your inner self. And then this is a coping mechanism when you're a child, but as an adult, it becomes, major, major problems. He has this technique that he uses with his patients and teaches you to use it with yourself, called compassionate inquiry. And so his message is just really intelligent, really beautiful, and very compassionate and loving. And he talks about that there's not enough trauma education in industries that need it most, the education system with kids, let's say, and the medical industry. They don't have any lecture on trauma, and they're dealing with traumatized people all the time. And if we learned to understand what trauma does to us, that we can learn to be a more compassionate society with each other. So I highly recommend anything that you can get a hold of and really introduce yourself to this man who has just got an incredible, beautiful message for a lot of people, and very educational. And for me, it totally resonates. I haven't heard anything he has said that I don't agree with. And some of his thoughts around addiction are very different than what the medical industry says and the 12-step programs. He does not believe it's inherited. He believes it's absolutely trauma-based. And I agree with him, and that's after having many years, 26 years actually, involved in 12-step programs and mentoring hundreds of women over the years. So I have a lot of experience in that area. And with my growth and more education, I absolutely agree with what he says. So I just spread the word to a lot of people to check out his work. He's quite exceptional and extremely interesting and intelligent to listen to. So I hope you check it out. Gabor Maté.